This is the Independent Dealer Podcast. Education by dealers for dealers. Now, here are your hosts, Luke Godwin and Jeff Watson.
Hello and welcome to the Independent Dealer Podcast, brought to you by Buckeye Dealership Consulting. Luke, we are fresh off a 20 group, man. Bittersweet. Bittersweet.
Yeah, it was. I've been doing 20 group for 9+ years, I think. And it was my last 20 group, Jeff. And I moderated it, and hopefully I did well and people got something out of it. But I tell you, 20 group's been the single most rewarding thing I've ever done in this industry. And it's bittersweet for me, but I'm glad to have done it.
Yeah. Well, you did better than you did in DC. I'll say that. You did a great job. You kept the conversation rolling. Everyone was very interested and engaged. So we had a great time. Again, the 20 group program, I've been in it for about the same time, probably 10 or 15, 13 years, something like that. And it still blows my mind. I come away with at least a page full of notes. You know, we're going to go over those today and talk about some of the key takeaways that I'm still getting after, that's 30 something meetings or more that I've been to. Mm-hmm. And on the flip side of that, it also blows my mind when you run into some dealers who don't get it and are still, you don't know what you don't know. And that's the biggest danger in this business, because dealers can be such a lonely little group that we just kind of put our heads down and we hustle. And yet we don't know that somebody's already gone through the school of hard knocks. They've already figured it out. They already know what to do, what not to do. We just got to be plugged into the community where we can get that information.
That is what's great about 20 group, because 9 times out of 10, the issue you're having right now, another dealer's already having it. Mm-hmm. And they've already figured it out. And I'm still learning things right now. And I've been doing this day to day for 29 years. And I'm still learning things every day. And now doing consulting and going into people's dealerships, man, I tell you, you don't know what you don't know. And there's a lot of dealers out there that don't know. And luckily I'm getting the opportunity to help those dealers now, which is really, really rewarding for me still. So let's go through those notes, because there's a lot. And hopefully dealers are learning from us every week as well.
Yeah, that's debatable. One thing that was really stuck out to me, and one of my biggest takeaways that I've tried to tackle this year, and we talked about it in last week's episode or the week before, is just making sure I got the right processes in place for my employees and making sure those employees are prioritizing the most important tasks for them. So I got back from the meeting and I went to 2 of my key employees that I know are bogged down with a lot of stuff. And I said, just get on this Google sheet and just write down everything you do this week. Everything. Yeah. Like, I want every task that you handle during this week, put it down on this Google sheet. And then we're going to go through and we're going to order these. We're going to number them all from A1 down to C5 or whatever. And we're going to put them in order of priority. And everything that drops down into a level B or C priority, we're just going to delegate that to someone else. We're going to find somebody else to handle the $10 an hour work, so that my $50 an hour people are not doing stupid stuff.
That is such a great exercise for every dealer out there to do, because a lot of y'all out there let's say you have 10 employees, and you probably don't have a written job description for each employee. And if you don't have that, you definitely need to do that. But this is the first step in that process, getting your employee to write down what they're doing every day, because something they are doing every day that you may not even know may not be part of the job description that you thought was part of their job description. So it helps you build that. And it also helps you take away things that they are just way overqualified to do.
Yeah, that's we say that, and that leads directly into one of my second takeaways was using this is the most cliche thing in the world, but using AI more in my business to accomplish those tasks, right? So I keep my chat GPT open all the time. And when I have something like that, like a job description or a task list or even emails that I'm sending that I want to be more polished. All of my Google reviews are being done through an AI chatbot now, just to make them funny or more interesting, or something like that. But I really sat down with a lot of my policies as I'm building this out, and I say, give me a framework for this policy. What's my cell phone policy? What's my days late policy? A lot of that stuff I'm just running through Chat GPT to get the bulk of it kind of written out. It's amazing
Well,
what it can do. It's amazing what it can't do. Some of the
yeah,
stuff I think is so simple that it just
yeah. Uh,
totally gives up on.
so one of those things like you can take with that exercise you did with your employees, you can take what they wrote down and say, chat, write me a job description based on what my employee gave me, right? You
Yep.
can copy, paste that in there, and all of a sudden you have a job description. So something that may be daunting to you as an owner is uh, made within 10 seconds of you getting your employee to do a majority of the work, and you just cut and paste into chat. And that saves you a ton of time, and it just makes you feel better because now you go, okay, let's refine it. Let's talk to our employee about it. Let's train on that. And that's so key. And chat helps with the newsletter, Jeff. And people out there, if you're not looking at our newsletter, I really think it's good this year. It wasn't good last year. Jeff was doing it last year, but
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I've taken over it. And we just talked about mission statement. And if you want to talk about what your employees are doing and if it's actually following your mission statement, you can't do that if you don't have a written mission statement, right, Jeff? And so
Yeah.
make sure that their job description is fitting within your mission statement.
Yep. And the whole point of the newsletter is kind of 52 weeks to a better dealership. So join now. You're through week number 4 or 5. You're going to miss a couple of the first weeks, but it's okay. They'll come back around next year. But each week is going to build on itself. So we're starting with the building blocks of your dealership. What is your mission statement? I think the week after that's going to be core values. We've got 4 core values here at my dealership because it's called 4 Seasons. So it's very easy to have 4 core values that are an acronym for the letter 4, Four. And we talk about those every single week, what our core values, and we try to find an example of an employee who used one of those core values. So I think it's really, really important. And that also, it lends me to go back to the episode from a couple weeks ago, again, with Steve Levine, is I'm doing all these things, but at the same time, I don't know what I don't know. And that's where it helps to talk to Steve, to go to things like Compliance Unleashed and Buy Here, Pay Here United that's coming up, because then I even get the awareness, like with my employee policy. I didn't know that I should have a social media posting, kind of disclaimer inside my employment agreement that says, hey, I've got all this stuff in my employment agreement that new hires sign when they come on. But when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. Went to ChatGPT, asked it to write me a social media post policy, and it gave me a tiny little paragraph that just said, hey, don't post stupid shit, And it's like, all right, cool. So I threw that in my employment agreement, and now I'm building it,
Well,
when
what's
you
great
hear it.
yeah, I mean, what's great with Steve, you can, as soon as you get your employee to write their task and you get chat to help you with the job description, then you can send it to Steve and say, does this look legal and
Yep.
all good to go? And Steve can help you with that. So make sure you reach out to him when you're building your training manual or your contract with your employees.
Yeah, and of course he's going to be the Ignite Compliance Unleashed convention is in conjunction with Buy Here, Pay Here United this year, which is going to be huge. I just looked at the agenda. I think we tried to keep Luke off the agenda, but I think he got on somehow. I will be there, and there's a handful of dealers that are doing presentations that I'm actually excited to go to. Our good buddy Harry's doing something. Of course, all of our friends, everyone's going to be there, and so the agenda looks really, really good this year. So make sure you get signed up April 22nd through the 24th at the Caesars in Las Vegas. Beautiful time to be in Las Vegas. If there is ever a time to be in Las Vegas, early spring is the time to do it. So, yeah, I'd be there. Look, it's going to be a good time.
I'm going to be there. You're going to be there. We're going to have a good time. And hopefully we're going to go. Jeff, can we go drive race cars on like Monday or Tuesday that week?
Yeah, you kind of got the need for speed in you
I
now
do.
since
I
that
do.
BMW driving school, huh?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Anyway, what else you got in those notes?
One thing that was interesting to me too is I think maybe it was you that mentioned that they had a professional BDC, not a I don't know if it was a professional, but it was someone very, very skilled BDC agent that went through and was working previous accounts, like previous leads, like going way back into the database.
Yeah.
I've been in business for whatever, 20 years or something. I got a lot of people in my CRM, all my CRMs, my DMS, my CRM, and previous customers that have paid off, but I very rarely make a good concerted effort to market to those people to try to get them back in my dealership.
Let me tell you this case study, and I'm undergoing this case study right now. We turned off every single ounce of our advertising on October 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Every dime of it. Okay. All we have is a website.
Mm-hmm.
And we sold the exact same amount of cars that we would typically sell in December with zero advertising. And I'm not telling everybody to do this. But what I'm getting to is this. Your advertising is way less important than the leads you currently have coming in and the leads you have in your database. And we've got to figure as an industry, and especially as buy here, pay here dealers, what can we do to take the database and just mine it and mine it and mine it? And a dealer that I was referencing was a dealer down in Augusta who was selling 100 cars a month, and they were spending zero money on advertising. They hired someone who's just a professional customer service that knows how to cold call past clients and dig into their database. And if you can harness that, you can sell however many cars you want to a month, and it really doesn't cost you a dime. So what they were doing was mining referrals from the current customer base they had, low balances, and they were setting appointments. And so their salespeople, all they were delivery people. Customer came in from the appointment, already knew what car they wanted, they were just signing them up. That's it. You spend way too much money on trying to do traditional internet digital advertising when what you really need to focus on is the leads you currently have and the people in your database.
Hand-to-hand combat.
It's hand-to-hand. It's hard. And this is what happens. Our current salespeople would rather take the new lead. And what the problem is every day it's a new lead. And what happens is you lose the lead from yesterday, and you lose the new lead from the day before, then the day before, then the day before. So you're probably ended up losing most of your leads because you're working new leads.
Yeah.
There's no advantage to that.
And there are a lot of CRMs that are good with, blast texts and emails and trying to get people back in the market, but
not the same.
Yeah. What I struggle with is who is that person, right? I am realizing that sales skills matter, when you're hiring a BDC or a salesman. I was of the opinion, 6 to 12 months ago that just a good customer service person is what you want, talking to customers and getting them in, because buy here, pay here is easy. But I am realizing now more that customer service is good and you want someone that's likable and that people like. But if they don't know how to ask for the sale and they don't know how to overcome objections and they don't know how to close somebody, or if they're not ready to hustle, that just being a nice person to talk to is not always the best person to have in a sales position.
I think you can train it. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think you can train it into people. I'm not sure that you can train follow-up into people. You have to have almost a innate, just weird data type mind that says, okay, all I'm going to do today is call people, and I'm going to get them on the phone. I'm going to ask for a referral. And the salespeople, a lot of these salespeople we're hiring, they're younger. For one, they don't like to talk to people on the phone. They'd rather text them. And it just doesn't work. For one, you got to have, for this position, you've got to have a good referral program for your customers. And you got to have somebody that is great on the phone. And
Mm.
hiring somebody that's great on the phone that's younger is getting harder and harder and harder.
Yeah, who's also hungry and has
Yeah.
that drive to dial constantly and get people on the phone and handle objections and rejections. And that, I'm telling you, is hard.
It is.
Closer, let's say, or someone who's just hungry enough. I don't know. That's what I'm finding. And there's certain types that do gravitate and grasp that. And I found that there are others types who just, as much as you teach them, they just don't get it. But
Yeah.
one thing along those lines that I also wrote down was having all of my, so for buy here, pay here notes, if I get a payoff, whether it's a refi or someone has paid to the end of their loan, I need to do a better job of routing those all through maybe my sales manager. That he's the one delivering titles, he's the one talking to that paid off account, and really trying at that point to get them back into another car because uh we're losing a lot of people who are paying off, and maybe they don't think that we have an option for them to graduate because in my business model, I have all the banks and credit unions. I have places that will offer them a 7% interest rate if they've built their credit with me through my buy here, pay here program. So I don't want to lose those people. So I think instead of just having them pay it off online or pay it off at the desk and then my clerk just sends them a title, you know, I have all those payoffs now going through my sales manager who says, hey, congratulations, you did great with us, you got great credit. Do you need another car? Try to resell them again at the time of payoff.
Yeah. I get on my
If we
sales.
didn't get to them sooner.
Yeah. I get on my salespeople, and I'll go back to that in a second. But it was very rare when a customer left my office when I was in my dealership floor with their title. It was very rare because I would flip them into another car.
Mm.
I would make a joke and, say, oh, no, we don't let people leave with titles. And I would go over there, and start working them. And I was like, well, everybody can do this. Everybody can't do it, unfortunately. And especially when your collection staff and your sales staff aren't talking. So you've got to create a process where your collection staff, when the customer walks in to pay that car off, that your collection staff is notifying your sales staff, your best person there, to try to get them in another car immediately. And you can even bonus your collection staff for doing that for when that happens. And now, with services like Blytzpay, a lot of times the customer's paying off and you never see the customer.
Yeah, that's a big issue. And
It's
you might
big.
not even know who they are really because they've been playing it online the whole time or through auto pay like clockwork. And those are the best ones. Those are the ones you want to
Yeah.
keep. Those customers are gold.
So you've got to have a process for your collector, because your collector knows those people have paid off. Your collector has to alert your sales staff or your sales manager, hey, these people made their last payment on Blytzpay. You need to make sure that you contact them. And your salespeople have to be commissioned for doing that. And your collection staff has to be commissioned for getting that person back into a new loan. And so it creates a bunch of layers, but those are your best customers. You can't lose them.
Yeah, that's funny. I need to bring that up to Robin and TJ and the team at Blytzpay when we see them. Is I've had customers pay off through the Blytzpay portal, and we don't ever see it because they just get paid off. There's no notification. It doesn't tell us. They're just done. And all of a sudden, a couple months later, they'll call and be like, "Hey, where's my title?" And you're like, I had no idea you paid off." So
Yeah,
we need
yeah,
like
yeah.
some sort of an email that goes out or something and says, "Hey, this customer paid off." I don't know, or maybe
Well, I tell you
final
something.
payments be in person. I don't know.
Well, I tell you something I do, and we used to do that is, I pull a list of every payment made the day before. So I have it just set that every morning I have a payment post report that comes to me, and I pull out every paid off account every day.
Hmm.
And so I can see who is paid off every day, and it helps me keep track of how our portfolio is shrinking. But it also allows me to say, hey, why do we not sell those new people a car? And now we don't really offer that anymore. So, but it still lets me know how my portfolio, why is it shrinking, and at what rate it's shrinking. Anyway, these are all these things I can help dealers with when I'm consulting. But it's a really good thing to be on top of.
Yeah. Just a couple more things before we wrap up. The one thing that really hit me too was someone said all their down payments are odd numbers. And I just thought, man, that is so interesting that I've always kind of had an opposite philosophy of just simplicity. You know, it's 1,000 down, it's 1,500 down, it's 2,000 down. And they're like, no, no, no. It's $1,575 down or 1,625 because it is literally every dollar you can get, you know? How much you got down? 1,500 up to, well, maybe 1,700. Okay, 1,750, 1,770. Could you come up with an extra 25 bucks? Like that is it's such a weird thing, but it's the philosophy in it is important. And I need to be better at that. And I need my sales manager to be better at pushing for every single dollar that they have as a down payment, right?
Yeah, that is interesting. And there's philosophy about pricing your cars, right? Don't ever price your cars on the evens, right? Or because I understand what somebody's trying to do here.
Yeah.
You're not trying to be arbitrary on your down payments.
Hmm.
So as long as you're getting as much as you can, I don't care how much you get, because I do think that yeah, down payment matters when it comes to performance of the loan. That's something I believe. But I do that's interesting. I don't know if I agree with it, but it's interesting.
I think what I agree with is the philosophy that if I see an odd number down payment, I know that my team pushed for as much as they could get, right?
Okay.
It wasn't just like how much you got down. I got 1,000. Okay, great. I can get you approved with 1,000. You know, it's like, well, did you ask a second time? Did you ask a third time? Like, how many times did you try to bump them on down payment just to get the commitment? You know, like you said, if down payment matters, then it should matter. So why
Yeah,
not
it
ask
should.
for more?
Yeah, interesting.
Anyway,
Okay.
so one thing I did also that was we talk about CPI so much, and of course the guys at Buckeye, they have my CPI policy, and I start looking at the numbers and doing the math on what that looks like when you have 50% penetration or better on a portfolio like mine. It's a big, big deal. Um, and so I put in a tiered bonus plan here at my office for my kind of clerk who handles all my CPI stuff. She's in charge of getting the policies enforced and putting them in the DMS and all that stuff. So I set up a bonus plan for her because to me, it's such an important piece. It's a business inside your business, right? So to think that it's just going to happen is kind of like me thinking that reviews are just going to happen. They should, but they don't. You put a bonus on it or some sort of an incentive, now it happens. You know, you want number of units to days in inventory to come down. Put a bonus on it. It'll happen. My collections, she gets bonused on recency and delinquency. That's what she focuses on, right? And you could argue that if that's what they focus on, they don't focus on anything else. So yes, coming up with a balanced bonus plan is important, and that's a whole nother topic. But anyways, for the CPI part of it, I just said, hey, if we can double our penetration over the next whatever time frame it takes, that's a big deal to me.
Yeah.
So I put in together a kind of a tiered bonus plan that gives her a $5,000 bonus if she can get there, right? Over steps. You know, if we get from 150 to 175 to 200 to 225, she'll get some bonuses along the way. So that's something I took away that I think is going to help me kind of get to that next level.
Yeah, it's something I instituted probably a year and a half ago. We were struggling to really get a grip on CPI. And I think they'll tell you not to bonus on CPI because it gets a little gray there. Something Stephen
Yeah,
Lane
per
could
policy if you're not an insurance. So just talk to
yeah.
Buckeye, talk to Ignite, make sure you're doing it
Yeah.
legally. And so,
But I think it's a it's a pay plan, right? And the
mm,
pay plan is this. I hired you. Well, you're my insurance person. And you handle all my people with regular insurance. You handle all my people with CPI. You handle all the total losses with regular insurance. You handle all the claims with CPI. And the more people that are on CPI and the more people that are paying that are on CPI, the more money you're going to make.
mm,
And if you tier it so that every time they hit a number, a 5% gain in CPI penetration, you're going to make more money because you've got more work to do. And so stair step it, you will see an immediate difference. And I tell you, CPI is really great. I did not say this years ago, but I wish I would have done it 11 years ago, and I would have retired 5 years earlier. I can tell you that. So people out there not using CPI, you need to use it. If you need a very specific plan on how to get penetration, I know a guy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cool. That's all I got, man. You got anything else?
No, I just looking forward to convention season and going around and having fun. So Jeff, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening. Please leave us a review. We'll catch you in the next episode.